Hi. Saying that word is a trigger word for my dogs, so I was kind of expecting them to start barking because I think somebody's at the door. I'm Dale, I'm a librarian. I wanted to reach out to you on Sunday because I was just like, oh, I can't leave that person hanging. So here is an initial start. So the first step that I would recommend is taking notes, which you've probably already done. But when you write these down, you can highlight what you think are keywords. Keywords being like what is something that you can't describe the problem unless you use this word. Is another way of thinking of it. So I did some searching for restorative justice in the school setting, and um, I have something to show you that I think you'll be able to find lots of things. Um, and for criminalization or policies of oppression, like the war on immigration, the war on drugs, the war on this, that, and the other thing, in the name of lawfulness, how are populations marginalized or oppressed, suppressed? So the first one, let's go for this one. That's the easy one. We'll go on to the next one. So, I mean, first thing you could do is you could look in the library catalog. But since education is something that gets written about a lot, I'm going to skip to the education database. So if you go into databases, you can go under subject, or if you knew the name of the database, you can go under education. All the main areas, disciplines of research are here, and whomever the librarian is, in this case it's my colleague Donna Ziegenfuss, they will put the easiest and most comprehensive database at the top of the list, Education Full Text plus ERIC. This has been going on or the money into this research has been publicly funded for a long time. It's a really great body of evidence. So what I'd recommend is going to advanced search. Oh, excuse me. Everything's blooming right now. And let's just take restorative justice and put that one in. And let me show you ways of narrowing it down. So I always put, if it's more than one word, put it in quote marks so the words stick together so you don't get restorative and justice. But the cool thing about this database is it has all sorts of different suggestions. And this is just kind of like an algorithm. It's not even an artificial intelligence. But since we're in education, you don't have to do schools. But you could do specific populations like juveniles or prison or countries, or be that as it may. I wanted to show you how to narrow it down. There's several ways of doing it, and I recommend trying several to figure out what you're looking for. I am going to do scholarly peer-reviewed journals, though. And the reason that I went into advanced search, that'll become more clear in a moment. Okay, we have 600 scholarly articles. What can you, and these are all in the context of education, mostly K through 12, but there's going to be a lot in higher ed and maybe education in incarcerated populations. What you can do is go down to subject, and you can see the subjects of all 600 of those articles in a popularity list. So do you want to apply it to social justice or criminal justice, school discipline? Is there a particular population? There's racial bias. These are subjects written by the authors, and this is how many articles out of those 600 that they show up. So that's one way of narrowing it down. Another way is, let's go back to your list. I mean, just to pull in some of the populations noted here, let's try a population and look at this. There's like a whole bunch of different ideas, or Latino, or Hispanic. I don't think you have to do students, but let's just try Hispanic. If you wanted to try other, you would just put an or in between. And you can do Latin with a star, and that'll get Latino, Latina, Latinx, etc., etc. Okay, let's see how much that narrows it down. So every time you add a keyword, it's going to narrow it down. What this means for you is you are able to focus on the very specific populations or interventions that you're interested in. Guatemalan, Latino. I love it that they have country or region of origin in the studies, because there's wild differences between Guatemala and Argentina, for example, or Brazil. So that's that one. Another one that I'd recommend is under databases. You can look at there's social work databases, but you can go under sociology as well, which looks at all of society and society's education, public policy, population studies, demographics. This kind of like an open-ended study of people and how they interact with each other. So on this one in the advanced search, you could do, again, I'm doing restorative justice and Hispanic. I want peer-reviewed. And I'm going to add a row, and I'm going to do education or school or college. Any of the words that you want to. But now, instead of just looking in education databases, I'm looking in studies all around the world. Are there other names for restorative justice? Synonyms, related terms? I've heard restorative methodology, restorative this, restorative that. So there's different ways of looking at it. And you can also see in some of these databases a prevalence of time when something is showing up. So you can see since 2018, a lot more has been written about this than previous times, which means, was it called something else? If you find one that's really good, so if you see restorative justice practices, if you see this one and you're like, oh, that one's really good, when you go in, how did the author describe it is in the abstract. And so look, are there other keywords that they use? Disproportionate, juvenile justice system. So there might be other ways of describing it, and then you can work on that. I don't see anything wildly different. Okay, let's go to your other search. So that's something to dig around with, but feel free to reach out to me. This is not the end of the road, as it were. I can help you as you go further. So for the next one, this one's a little more complicated, but you get the idea that you have one strong keyword. And I looked at these, and you can think criminalization, one of the outcomes might be mass incarceration. We arrest everybody that we criminalize, I guess. Or immigration is another tool of oppression, suppression, immigration, picking on immigration, picking on borders, picking on mass immigration. That's all of the tools of oppression. So let's start with criminalization. And then let's try some of your other keywords that you were looking at. So in the library catalog, there's a lot of books that have been published about this for the last century or so. And criminalization might not be the best word, but it's a great place to get us started. But I think there's going to be books on this. So, criminalization. I'm going to have to copy that one. That one's hard to spell. Criminalization and, well, let's put both of them in there. And immigration. And we can do that same trick. The more keywords you add, the narrower your search will be. Oh, I didn't think about deportation. So there's like the outcomes of criminalization of immigrants. They get deported or jailed. So there's a lot in here that might work really well for you. So here's a book that was published in the not too distant past, 9 years ago. But you could go in and look, and it's an ebook, so you could be able to look, see if there's a chapter that works for you. If you want to, you can do that same subject search trick that I showed you before, where you can see immigration policy, social sciences, non-citizens. I haven't heard that one. But you can come up to our current era. Let's go up to 2016. The library catalog looks at books, book chapters, videos, but it also looks at a collection of articles, not in a particular disciplinary bucket like the education or sociology ones, but that'll help us narrow it down. Race, immigration, and social control, immigrants' view on the police. That one might be really good. That one's only in print. Email me if you want to get a hold of that. There's criminal justice, mobilizing public sociology. There's a lot of great titles that you can go in here. So I would encourage you, you can expand on your search this way. Try looking up all of the keywords that you have listed. Racist, nationalist. Let's try that. So criminalization. So we get racism or racist with that star, or nationalism, nationalist. And criminalization is a key term because you're taking something that may have been norm and you're changing it to something that's against the law. Racial criminalization of migrants in the 21st century. So as you go through these, this topic is rather big, so you might want to narrow it down. I'm happy to help with that, but I think all of these will give you a great place to go to kind of chew on the ideas. And let me know how it goes, and I'm happy to help further as you narrow this down. And happy spring. See you later.